Giants. The traditions of peoples all over the world are quite unanimous in asserting that at an earlier time a race of giants lived on the earth, that most of the race were destroyed in great catastrophes, that they were of cruel nature and were ferociously fighting among themselves, that the last of them were exterminated when, after a cataclysm, a migration of peoples brought the forebears of the peoples of today to their new homelands. The Japanese narrate that when their forefathers, after a great catastrophe about 2,500 to 3,000 years ago, came from the continent and invaded the isles, they found there long-legged, furry giants. These giants were called Ainu. The forefathers of the Japanese were defeated in the first encounter, but in the second encounter they were victorious. Ixtlilxochtli described the wandering of the people of the Western Hemisphere in the 4 ages of the world. The first age came to its end in the flood. In the second age, called the Son of the Earthquake, there lived the generation of the giants, which was destroyed in the cataclysm that terminated this age. The third period was the Son of the Wind, called so because at the end of this period, terrible hurricanes annihilated everything. The new inhabitants of the New World were Yulni and Xicaloka, who came from the east to find a foothold at Patachin. Here they met a number of giants, the last survivors of the second catastrophe. The fourth age was called the Fire Sun because of the great fire that put an end to this epoch. At that time, the Toltecs arrived in the land of the Anahuac, put to flight by the catastrophe. They wandered for 104 years before they settled in their new home. Also, F.L. Gamarra, in his Conquista de Mexico, in the chapter about Cinco Soles Q's son Sonidades, wrote, "The second sun perished when the sky fell upon the earth. The collapse killed all people and every living thing, and they say that giants lived in those days, and that to them belong the bones that our Spaniards have found while digging mines and tombs. From their measure and proportion, it seems that those men were 20 hands tall, a very great stature, but quite certain." The Hebrew scriptures, as preserved in the Old Testament and in the Talmud and Midrashim, narrate that among the races of the world in the previous age were races of giants, men of great size, tremendous strength and ferocity, who were destroying other races, but also were turning upon each other and destroying themselves. The book of Genesis 6:4 narrates that in the antediluvial time there were giants and the earth in those days. The Greek book of Baruch narrates that over 400,000 of the race of giants were destroyed by the flood. After the flood, there were only a few districts where some of them remained alive. When after a number of centuries another catastrophe ruined the world, and the Israelites left Egypt and sent a few men to explore Palestine, those reported that the people of the land were generally of tall stature, and that besides there we saw giants, the sons of Anak, which came of the giants. And we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so were we in their sight. This description clearly differentiates between the people of tall stature and the giants, and the supposition the Israelites found in Palestine, a normal race only taller than themselves, and thought them to be giants, is not supported by the text. A similar distinction is made in Deuteronomy 1:28. The people is greater and taller than we, and moreover, we have seen the sons of the Anakim giants there. They, a few families, lived in Hebron. Numbers 13:22. At the time when the Israelites approached the fields of Bashan in the Transjordan, only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of the giants. Joshua 13:12 and Doi 3:11. The other individuals of monstrous size had been annihilated in the meantime. Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. Is it not Rabbath of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits is the length thereof, and 4 cubits the breadth of it. After the cubit of a man, the text implies that at the time the book of Deuteronomy was written, the bedstead of Og was still in existence, and was a wonder for the onlookers. The giants were the remnant of a race close to extinction. Og was of the remnant of the giants that dwelt Ashtaroth and Edrei. Joshua 12:4. They were also called Emim, or the furious ones. The Emim dwelt therein, Moab of the Transjordan. In times past, a people great and many and tall as the Anakim, which also were accounted giants, as the Anakim, but Moab calls them Emim. This branch of the giants was already extinct. But the 2 cosmic ages earlier, in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinnah, and Abraham, the patriarch, Emim flourished in the Transjordan. Genesis 14:5. I found this little article here on ancientorigins.net. I thought I'd add it to give it a little more length. It's to be taken with a grain of salt. Exposing the secret history of giants in the underground Hyperborean Gallery in Romania. With Rosia, Montana being a mining area, a number of interesting discoveries have been unearthed there over the years. One of the most interesting being a skeleton of a 10-meter tall, 32.8-foot giant, which was found in 1976. About 5,500 years ago, an underground gallery was constructed in the region by the Agathisi. In February 2012, a group of geologists followed the gold vein in the same place. They kept digging until they ended up at the base of the gallery. To their utter surprise, they found a gravestone, which was definitely not made of common rock. The geologists took a sample. The laboratory results revealed that the components of the tombstone included 55% 50-karat gold dust, 15% granite dust, and 30% wolfram. Also, the analysis revealed that the composite rock had been made using a type of technology unknown today. The Hyperborean Gallery, known by the name of the Hyperborean Gallery or Gallery 13, the place of this amazing discovery is located beneath Cornea village. Of other discoveries were made at the site in 1976. However, in the name of security, the anthropological and archaeological discoveries were deemed too unusual and shocking for the time, so the gallery was permanently sealed. A gravestone was not the only unusual item found inside the gallery. On it, archaeologists found a 10-meter, 32.8-foot tall skeleton of a giant. Apparently, the giant had been buried there after his death, with his legs gathered on one side. Lacking the proper equipment necessary to analyze such a find, the skeleton was sent to Moscow. Unfortunately, nothing has been reported about the giant ever since. The discovery of a skeleton that measures 10 meters or 32.8 feet. As for the tombstone, a new series of research was planned to analyze it in 2012. The relic was dug up once again, and measurements showed that it was 6 meters, 19.7 feet wide, 12 meters, 39.4 feet long, and 3 meters, 9.8 feet tall. It weighed almost 1,700 tons and contained somewhere around 900 tons of solid gold. To make a comparison, such a quantity of gold would have required over 20 years of mining work to gather. The last thing known about the gravestone is that it had been cut up into 80 smaller pieces in order to make its transportation possible. As for its destination, It is not known where it lies today. One of the archaeologists working in Gallery 13 took a set of photos with the gravestone and sent them to a paleolinguist, who's unnamed. The latter emerald green bas relief writing covering the entire surface of the artifact. The text had been written in 3 parallel rows, which started in the upper left. From there, the writing descended diagonally, similar to a serpent, and formed a spiral around a wolf head. Finally, the script ended in the lower right corner. The unnamed paleolinguist speculated that the unknown writing could be Palestinian, and the discovery with its markings and writing clearly possessed great cultural and historical value. Nevertheless, the gravestone was cut and melted. The state obtained a share of 19 pieces, 31%, as stipulated in the local gold exploitation contract. During the excavation, the lifting of the gravestone also revealed the entrance to a pit. The 4-meter, 13.1 feet diameter pit had a descending spiral stairway, and a milky violet light radiated from the inside. A closer inspection of the stairs made it clear that they looked as if cut into walls of the pit by a laser, and as for the violet light, nobody could determine its source. Curious to find the source of the light and to see what was inside, the paleolinguist descended into the pit, but nobody else proved brave enough to join him. The night passed, and the man never returned from the pit. Ultimately, the army sealed the entry to the pit, as well as the entire Gallery 13, with cement. Those present never talked about the discoveries again, as they had been made to sign confidentiality agreements. Therefore, what lies beyond the staircase of the pit remains a mystery. Romanian giant legends. Depending on the region of Romania where the legends come from, there are different names for the giants. In the Bozoral area, giants are known as Tartars, Tartari. For example, a number of unusually tall skeletons have been uncovered at Scalini in the Bozalui Mountains. For instance, when locals tried to plant apple trees on a hill, they accidentally discovered humanoid skeletons of over 2.4 meters, 8.2 feet tall, along with pottery fragments. Bozalui Mountain. Knowing the local legends, people from the area immediately thought about the Tartars. One of these legends even claims that the mountain formation known as the Pillars of Tainita, Stalpi Tarnite, had actually been built by these giants of old. In the past, the giants were also credited for building 2 large underground halls somewhere beneath the mountain. The strange formation, which can be seen up on the Tainita mountain, resembles a set of stone chairs, as they are found at high altitude and in a highly inaccessible area. Locals claim that Tartars built the chairs to sit down on when they wanted to gather for council. Another legend from Haiteg County tells the tale of 2 giantesses who built 2 cities, one in Deva, the other on the peak of the severed mountain, respectively. Upon the end of the construction, when the giantess from Deva beheld her rival's city and saw it had turned out more beautiful, she became envious. In a moment of rage, she threw a plow towards the mountain citadel, destroying it and severing the top of the mountain at the same time. In this way, the mountain earned its name, being known ever since as the Severed Mountain. In regions such as Teleorman, Jeju, and southern Montania, giants are known as Jidovs. A local legend speaks about a hero going by the name of Novak, who fought a Jidov. Once the giant was defeated, he ran away to save his life, but in his flight he left a mark on the ground. The area has been called Brazdali Novac ever since. In the region there are also other formations called Magiri by locals who believe that these have been built by giants. Giant discoveries in Romania. A number of archaeological discoveries have been made in Giurgiu. For example, it was found that in Arjadava, King Barabista had his first city, before he unified the Dacian tribes of the area. Yet, an even more interesting discovery was made between the years 1940 and 1950. In this period, archaeologists unearthed 80 humanoid skeletons, which appeared to be giants. The huge skeletons measured about 4 to 5 meters, 13 to 16 feet in height. Giant skeletons have been unearthed in other parts of the country as well. As one example, in October 1989, 20 giant skeletons were found in Pantalaimon, Lebada. Other such discoveries have been unearthed in Palagravni and Satetini, beneath Nigru Vada Monastery, and in the Buseki Mountains, where the existence of a network of underground tunnels surprised workers. Thus, skeletons of giants have been discovered in many places around Romania. To get straight to the point, giants have been discovered in Scallion in Buzău County, Mariuta in Călărași County, Persani Mountains, Palavragi, Piatra Tarahetli, Satetini, beneath Nigru Voda Monastery, and in many other places. In Maramureș, the fortress of Wansisti was believed to be the home of giants. At Arjadava, giants with a height of over 5 meters, 16 feet, have been discovered in 80 graves, although most are suddenly lost after being discovered. The secret Romanian giants continue to be unearthed, and that was by Valder Rorick, the author of Loki, the Trickster Unleashed, and Supernatural in the Land of Count Dracula. That sounds interesting. Valder Rorick has always been fascinated by the supernatural. Interested in the topic, she has studied many aspects of the enigmatic, always attempting to find logical explanations for the unexplainable. And that was from ancientorigins.net. I'll leave a link below.